This was a few months ago when I was working in the pediatric ward. Normally, I love working with kids. They're fun, and honestly, they make the long hours a lot more bearable. But this particular night, I had the weirdest night shift at the hospital. Let's just say I was questioning my life choices. It was a typical late shift, around 2 a.m. The lights were dim, the sound of the occasional beeping monitor filled the air, and I was just trying to stay awake while scrolling through my phone, half-heartedly checking on the kids. Most were asleep, which was great, except for one little guy in room 203 who had decided that sleep was overrated. I went in to check on him and he looked up at me with wide eyes and said, "I'm not tired." I chuckled, because, kids. "Well, buddy, you should really try. There are no cool toys to play with at 2 a.m. Just as I was about to leave, I heard a strange sound, a soft whispering coming from the hallway. My first thought was that maybe the coffee I'd had at midnight was starting to kick in, but no, it was definitely a voice. I paused and I swear it sounded like it was saying, "Help me." Now, I'm not usually the jumpy type, but at that hour, with the dim lights and the creepy atmosphere, I felt a shiver run down my spine. I thought, okay, it's probably just my imagination. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Curiosity got the best of me, so I followed the sound. As I walked down the hallway, I felt like I was in a horror movie, and I half expected a ghost to pop out and yell, "Boo!" But when I reached the end of the corridor, I found nothing. Just an empty waiting room and that creepy, flickering overhead light that seemed to be mocking me. I shrugged it off, thinking I needed more coffee, and headed back to the nurse's station. But as I was filing some paperwork, I heard the whispering again. "Help me!" This time it was louder, more insistent. My heart started racing. I glanced around to see if anyone else heard it. Nope, just me. Perfect. I grabbed my flashlight and decided to investigate again, because, what could go wrong? I followed the sound down another corridor, and it led me to an old storage room. I hesitated for a second, thinking maybe I should just let it go. But my curiosity was stronger than my common sense. I pushed the door open, and as soon as I did, the whispering stopped. Inside, it was dark and musty. I shined my flashlight around, and that's when I saw it. A small, dusty rocking chair in the corner. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Just as I was about to turn around, I felt a cold breeze brush past me. I swear, I felt like I was in a haunted house attraction. Suddenly, I heard a giggle, like a child's laugh, echoing around me. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I turned back to the rocking chair, and it was moving slightly, even though there was no one there. Okay, now my heart was pounding. I decided it was time to head back to the nurse's station. I turned to leave, and as I did, I saw something in the corner of my eye. There was a little girl standing at the end of the hallway. She was wearing a hospital gown and had her hair in pigtails. I mean, it was like something out of a horror movie. "Help me," she said, her voice soft and sad. I froze. Okay, but where are your parents?" I managed to say, trying to keep my cool, but inside I was like, this is it. I'm done for. She pointed down the hallway, and I took a cautious step toward her. "I can't find my mommy," she said, her eyes wide and scared. I felt my heart break a little. "Okay, let's go find her," I said, trying to sound brave, even though I was about 2 seconds away from freaking out. As we walked, I glanced back at her and she was still just standing there looking lost. But when I turned to look ahead, she was suddenly gone. I whipped around and my stomach dropped. I was in the middle of a deserted hallway, alone. I rushed back to the nurse's station, and my coworker Nika could see I was shaken. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, half joking. "I just might have," I replied, trying to catch my breath. I told her what happened, and she raised an eyebrow. "You know this place has some old stories, right? Kids going missing, strange happenings. It's part of why I refuse to work the night shift." "Thanks for the heads up, Nika." The rest of the night felt like a blur. I tried to focus on my work, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I kept hearing whispers and catching glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye. At one point, I could have sworn I saw that same little girl in the reflection of a window. just standing there, looking at me. Finally, my shift ended, and I couldn't have been happier to get out of there. As I walked to my car, I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see that little girl following me. I drove home feeling like I'd just escaped from a horror movie, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever look at that hospital the same way again.